Over the last couple of years, I've gotten a lot of questions around multi-touch attribution. Marketers and salespeople and executive leaders want to know where is the money that they're spending on marketing going and what kind of results is that producing? Or maybe a better way to think about it is for a result that I'm getting, what are the different touch points that somebody is engaging with leading up to that sale? Well, one of the things that there's a couple of different tools that people are typically using for that. One of them is Marketo Measure, but we've noticed over the last little bit that there are alternative ways to be able to grab those multi-touch attribution touch points without some of the cumbersome details that you're seeing inside of those platforms, and also the extra price tag in order to be able to do that. So I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to be able to grab that touch point data and then show you a little bit more about what you can do with that as just a starting off point that would lead into greater discussion. If this is an area of interest to you, let me know and in the comments below or subscribe to our YouTube channel and tell me what exactly you're interested in the area of multi-touch attribution so that I have more direction on what content that you'd like me to be able to build out. As a marketing leader or a business owner, it's hard to find answers to the questions that you have when you're trying to figure out how do I get more leads and more qualified business going into my company. And I want to be here to help with you. So we've actually implemented a brand new feature on our website at conversionstore.com. It's our chatbot. Now, a lot of companies have chatbots, but we wanted to make ours a little bit special too. We have the ability to be able to accept phone calls right away from our chatbot, and we have the ability to be able to interact with you and then answer questions just like we normally would. We're introducing a number of new features into the company that allow you to make the most out of artificial intelligence and also of our vast experience helping companies of all sizes with their marketing operations and their marketing automation. You don't have to be a Fortune 50 company to work with us. In fact, we pride ourselves on being able to service you and me and the other companies that aren't the massive companies that you see on CNBC, but are the companies that are just looking to be able to drive profitable, repeatable business for themselves and for the families that work for them. If that's you and you have questions, visit us at conversionstore.com, or of course you can always drop me a phone call at 704-469-5137 here in the United States. So visit us online at conversionstore.com and we look forward to speaking with you in real time. Okay, so in my first record here, I just want to start off by explaining a little bit about multi-touch attribution and kind of what it means. And so I'm here inside of my record in active campaign, in my active campaign instance, and you can see because it's me, I've got a lot of different activity that is around the Conversion Store website because it's our business, right? It's my company. And each of these actually, we use these to be able to track all of the different visits that are coming onto our website, our web page at conversionstore.com. And I'll just pull this in right now and just show you. Okay, we're showing our AI page, but if I look at our Marketo Minutes content, here are all the different videos that you're seeing on the different pages that have different types of tips that we've given over marketing automation over the last several years. All of these have tracking codes, tagging codes in them, and they're able to show you what pages I'm visiting at a given period of time. Now, I've been doing this for a long time, so you can see, and I've had this active campaign instance up for a long time. So we've had a lot of different touch points that you can see here. And one of the great things is you have the ability to be able to read all of the different UTM tracking parameters that you see for Google Analytics to be able to tell you, are you engaging with social and is that social LinkedIn and what type of campaigns are coming onto the website. And so all of these cumulatively lead up to our different tracking conversions that you see in Active Campaign. And what this is helping you to do able to do, so this touch point or this conversion here is really around watching a Marketo Minutes episode. But you could have it for making a sale, closing your first deal, having a conversation with your account executives for this particular person, doing a onboarding and completing that, going in and going to a webinar, going in and going to a conference or a live event. It doesn't have to be online. Just because these ones are tracked with JavaScript doesn't mean that you can't do them with offline events as well too. And this really parallels in comparison. So typically, there's a lot of different, well, there's not a lot, but there's a couple of different tools that use this. If I looked at at how Bizible does this, and how Marketo Measure does this for online channels. You typically have to go through this process of filling in a CSV file and putting in these channels and then these sub channels that you want to be able to use. And hopefully you have the campaign and the medium and the source values correct and your landing page values correct, because this is all read in order, and it also takes several days to be able to process all of the historic data in Bizible. So it can be quite onerous, and if you make a mistake on this, your multi-touch attribution data will be wrong until you fix it and re-upload it, and B, you'll have to wait to find out if that is in fact wrong. It's not for the faint of heart. In contrast, let me go over to the Active Campaign instance and I'll show you. They just made this update actually in Q4 of 2024, and it offers a whole bunch of different ways to be able to offer different types of touch points that you want to be able to track. And they're all independent of each other. So really, you can say, have you submitted a form? And make that a touch point. You can tie this into your LinkedIn ad campaigns and basically just make the conversion point the same conversion point that you would use for your LinkedIn advertise or your Google advertising, excuse me. But you can also do it on LinkedIn as well too, because each of these conversions, once they're built, is actually a flow step, a step that's inside of an automation inside of Active Campaign. So, you can also build these through a webhook. You can send them through JavaScript. You can send them through a URL automatically, which are the ones that I have set up historically because these were the legacy ways to be able to do this. But all of these new features gives you the ability to really make it a lot easier for you to be able to build out without making a lot of changes. So let me go into the form for a second here, and I can select all these different forms that I might have about my blog posts and submit a value. And or if I want to, I could use a contact field and then basically just update the value in that contact field and then make that more of a like a dynamic piece. You're allowed to limit the amount of triggers that go off on that touch point. And you could also apply this to all of the conversion data that you have historically that's in all of your contact activity log records, which is really valuable to be able to go back and set it. And understand this is dramatically different than what you would see in using a Bizible or a Marketo measure, because the changes that you make here are handled independently of any other logic that you use in touch points in other parts of the system. So it makes it a little bit easier for you to make one adjustment without having to worry that it might be impacting 2 or 3 or 14 other online channels if you use the Marketo measure terms that would be affecting your multi-touch attribution. And so one of the things that comes out of this too is so that's an online event. Like submitting a form is pretty easy to measure online, but it doesn't have to be this way. So you can say submits a form, but you can use all of the other different triggers as well too. So let's say that I wanted to create a deal that was created, and I'm using this to be able to talk about a status change, basically, right? Or a stage change, excuse me. And I want to be able to say all of my marketing events and anybody who register or who is attended for a marketing event gets tagged into this automation. Well, I have the ability to actually create one of these steps inside of my automation to basically pick that you attended an event. So I can change this and say, what did you go to? Did you register and attended an event? Or I could have just added in a watched an event conversion to my active campaign instance, and then I can put in my scoring values here. So I have two different values for contact score to be my lead score and my behavioral score. But if a note comes in here that it's a vice president of marketing, for example, then I'd add that to my demographic score as well with another point. I also have scores that I can add directly into deals in active campaigns. So if I know know that I'm working with a business that has, two or three or four different opportunities going inside of an organization. So let's say it's a president of a large multinational company, and they have you're doing a prospective deal for them in North America, and you're doing a separate deal for them in EMEA. You could have two different deals and have two different scores that are happening there based on what the buying conversations are with each of those different groups. So there's kind of an ABM element to it as well too. But anyway, just wanted to kind of introduce that to kind of get you thinking a little bit more about how you could use this inside of your business in order to be able to streamline some of the multi-touch attribution points that you have here, and just see, okay, well, I want to know what is happening with the LinkedIn work that I'm doing to be able to do organic, or my newsletter, or any of the other touch points that I have along the way inside of my business, right? And this can go back quite a ways. So, really interesting to kind of see and then kind of play around with. And again, it's included in the Enterprise and the Pro editions of Active Campaign, so there's not really an extra cost involved in it as well too. There's some features that you have to do a little bit differently. And one of the other pieces that I want to leave you with, just one last one here too, is if I wanted to, I could also put in a step here to be able to send them either to a webhook to some type of an integration that would take you to an AI agent, or to be able to push them into Salesforce or another CRM system to be able to do some stamping within your Salesforce schema, in order to be able to provide some insights there. So, stuff to think about. Okay, so definitely a couple of things to think about there, and keep in mind the tool that you use really depends on your business goals and what you're trying to be able to accomplish within a business and the size of the business that you have as well too. If you have questions about this, would love to see them in the comments. Please click the like and the subscribe button on the bottom right hand corner of your screen if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're watching it on LinkedIn, feel free to follow me. And would love to hear comments about what it is that's interesting to you. What questions do you have around multi-touch attribution and being able to use it? If you're not an enterprise, it doesn't mean that you don't have access to multi-touch attribution, and this should give you a great way in order to be able to participate in some of the richness that you're seeing in some of this reporting data that the large enterprises get to use as well too. I'm Michael Tucker for Conversion Store, and look forward to talking to you in the next one.